Hey everybody, it's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Welcome to my channel today. Today's date, July the 14th, 2020, and I have some breaking news here coming out of Wall Street regarding the cruise lines. A couple of brokerage firms released a couple of analytical reports this morning, and they are releasing some pretty grim news about cruising. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, Traveling with Bruce, giving my videos thumbs ups, following me on Facebook and also on my Instagram account. I would appreciate your support. Check out my other channel, Stock Markets with Bruce, where we follow the stock markets, including the shares of the cruise lines. And the irony is that today's news has to do with these guys. Here we go. The story now out of Wall Street. Two different brokerage firms came out with analyst ratings for the cruise lines, and they cited some really interesting information as to why they think the cruise line shares are going lower rather than higher. The analyst from a firm called SunTrust and another analyst out of a firm called Macquarie came out with basically don't buy the shares type of ratings. Either, if you got them, don't buy anymore. If you're thinking of buying them, don't bother. Here's the deal. Number one, they don't think there'll be any cruising until at least the second quarter of 2021. So we're talking almost 6 to 9 months from now at the earliest for cruising to begin. They cite a number of sources for this. But the big one is the shocker of the day, and that is through industry insiders, industry sources that these folks have. And believe me, the Wall Street guys have got deep contacts within the cruise business and all the affiliates and suppliers to the cruise lines, politicians' offices, you name it. The word coming out of these two analysts today is that the CDC, I don't want to say they're to blame. The CDC has been taken over by the executive branch, bottom line. The White House now is controlling what the CDC says with respect to when cruising can begin. And it makes sense when you look at the big picture because as you folks recall, early this year, I was covering the Diamond Princess cruise ship back in over in Tokyo when the virus was first breaking out in Asia. And those passengers who were stuck on that ship, they were stuck in the port near Tokyo, and they were not allowed off. They had to be quarantined in their cabins. And what happened? Hundreds of people, as each day went on and each week went on, hundreds of those passengers started coming down with the virus, including crew members. And hospitals were filling up in Tokyo because of these cruise ship passengers getting ill. Well, what they didn't know then versus what they know now, obviously, is a big difference. Had they taken those passengers off the ship right away and isolated them, we wouldn't have had this spread. But in any event, the White House was paying attention to that. And when the first Princess cruise ship entered the port of San Francisco and Oakland with positive cases, the White House didn't want that ship coming in. They didn't want that ship coming in, but it came in, and the CDC stepped in immediately and got those people off the ship as quickly as possible, had them quarantined various places around the USA. Good news is very few casualties from that. That was the right thing to do. But ever since that moment in time, the CDC has been basically being behind the ball, being behind the eight ball when it comes to telling cruise lines what to do. And that's because the White House has taken over the agency and has in effect decided that they're not going to allow cruise ships to sail at all in U.S. waters until after the election, because it is now a political football that the current administration doesn't want to be involved with. And these analysts from the Wall Street brokerage firms have confirmed this information as of this report that just came out this morning. According to the analysts, The CDC has become a political entity controlled by the executive offices. The executive office wants to avoid anything that could raise COVID case numbers ahead of the November election. The CDC and the executive office are not aggressively pushing for the major cruise lines to resume sailings because the cruise lines are not American-based corporations. People are always asking, why is it that airlines can fly wherever they want in the USA, any way they want to do it? Why is it that Disneyland and Disney World and Universal Studios and all of these privately run theme parks, why can they operate where they're operating while cruise lines are completely shut down? And we now know why they're not American-based companies, even though a vast majority of the senior management and management of these companies are actually American employees. The shore-based employees of these big three cruise lines are basically practically all Americans, paying U.S. taxes, paying local taxes, sales taxes. They drive cars registered in America. They buy gasoline in America. They buy groceries. Their kids go to American schools. They're all USA, except the corporation that they work for is registered offshore for obvious reasons, tax reasons. And as far as the politics of it goes, there is no upside in having a cruise ship go on a sailing into the Caribbean or down to Mexico and come back possibly with 1 case, 5 cases, or 10 cases of the virus, especially, with tracing going on. If 3,000 passengers come back to Miami from a cruise ship and 2 weeks later, 25 of those people have the virus, you know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to point at that cruise ship that's the cause of the virus. Even though cruise ships don't cause the virus, it's people that transmit the virus between themselves. And therein lies the problem. The White House doesn't want to take the chance of in any way having this connect back to them. So even though the CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, has established September 15th as their no sail date, the CDC is still sitting on July the 24th as their no sail date. That's 10 days from now. They haven't changed it yet. And the reasoning is the White House is not going to change the date until they absolutely have to. And all they're going to do, most likely, is just move up to the CLIA date. They won't go ahead of it. Where the industry is desperate for the government to allow them to sail again, because the U.S. market is at least half of the international total cruise market. The Cruise Lines Association knows now that the CDC will not reimpose cruising on their own because the White House is telling them how to do what they're doing. And there is the dilemma for all of us in the that are addicted to cruising. We can't go on a cruise until the cruise ships are allowed to go. We don't know what the rules are going to be. The cruise lines don't know what the rules are going to be because the CDC hasn't issued any new rules. There is no discussion between the CDC and the CLIA officially as to when and how to bring cruising back. And that is why the folks at Royal Caribbean and Norwegian have put together their own blue ribbon panel to try to keep the conversation going as to how to make it safe to cruise again. Carnival is trying to talk to the CDC, but the CDC is just not reacting. They can't react. They've been told to do nothing. And so there's the latest on the cruise business. Totally gone political. And until the election, don't look for any help from anyone anywhere with respect to cruising in and out of the USA. I wish I could give you happier news, but that's the way it is today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, following my videos. Thank you for thumbs ups and your comments. Let me know what you think about this video. And in the meantime, stay warm, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll try to keep you posted on what's going on. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.